Hello everyone, and welcome to my in-depth guide for Stamina Nightblade in ESO. In this video I want to talk about everything, from skills, to builds, to defense, offense, to all the matchups you'd need for when playing Stamina Nightblade. A lot of people have been asking for this, and I honestly feel a little bit like exposing my secrets here, which for some part I shouldn't, but I don't think a lot of people will learn much from it anyway. Those who do, I look out forward to fighting sometimes in the future. I just want to start by telling something. The very beginners among you, the people who started playing ESO like a week ago or like a month ago even, and that's ESO is hard to learn. It took me about 5 months to get a hold of. So don't get discouraged. Once you learn how to play it though, you'll be a god amongst men. Like, I haven't lost an equal fight for months now. It's super hard to lose to players who don't understand the game with a good build and decent knowledge. That's why you meet people who feel like they are gods in PvP. But they are just very experienced players. There's a very small community out there that really understands how the game works. I'd say maybe about 2% of the entire player base really knows how to PvP well. And an even smaller part of that knows their class and knows how to build right. I'd say maybe about 0.1% of the entire player base actually knows how to build a class. For example, for Nightblade, I could only know one person who knows how to build it. For Sorcerer, maybe 2 people that know how to build it. For Stamblade, everybody follows one meta that 2 people created. That's how tiny the PvP community that's knowledgeable really is. If you ever start being active on the forums or similar, you'll realize that there's a huge amount of people thinking that those players exactly are using macros or cheating or some of that stuff. All of it is not true. I haven't met a single player who cheated in this game or used the macro. And this is true for Reddit and Twitch and all of that stuff as well. Even the streamers. There's maybe 3-4 streamers that I could mention that I would be afraid of when facing in PvP. Like, even the streamers that seem decent don't really understand the game. And that's why I want to make this video, to clear some things up. So, once you get the hang of defense in this game, you can fight up to 10 people. Easily. Well, maybe not easily, but you can definitely easily survive them. The first thing I want to talk about is how you build a Stamina Nightblade. This thing goes, maybe also applies to Magical Sorcerers, but it really only applies to the medium playstyle of a Stamina Nightblade. So Stamina Nightblade is an upfront burst class. So what you do on it is either sneak up or run up and kill your opponents in a small time window, say for maybe 2 or 3 seconds. This is what you always want to build for, upfront burst with either stats like weapon damage or physical penetration, or you build for instant damage proc sets. Nightblades also have greater unique defense tools built into their class. Shadow Image is your best defensive ability, and with Shadowy Disguise you can juke and surprise people from behind for some bursts as well. Because of these skills, you don't really need to build any defense on a Stamblade. and instead build to have endless sustain so you can stay mobile at all times. You will die super quickly if you stay on your opponent for too long, or stand in one place. So what you do instead is run away, shade, and juke with cloak. By the way, cloak is a juke ability, not a defense ability. You don't use it to directly mitigate damage, you use it to get out of situations as quickly as possible, so you lose pressure. Your max sustain benefits your stem sustain and vice versa. You're hopping in and out of fight and control it that way. Best builds are focused around roll dodging, for open world at least. I roll dodge about maybe 4 to 6 times in the span of 10 seconds. So how you build a stamina Nightblade for PvP is first figure out how you want to get your sustain. You need about 2100 unbuffed, only with medium passives buffed, stamina recovery in CP PvP if you use leeching strikes. If you don't use these leeching strikes, you need maybe about 2500 just to sustain. In noCP, the same applies. You need about, in noCP you need about 2300 stamina regen with leeching. Now say you're using something like Torque of Tunnel, that's 400 regen already. So with that I run 1800 unbuffed regen in noCP, and I'll be fine with that. So first you need to figure out how you get your sustain, then you figure out any of the necessary defense you'll need, because maybe there is some times where you just cannot sustain, you just cannot survive at 12k resistance, that's it. For example, in CP you'd be able to survive with nothing but that, and after you figured all of that out, push everything into damage and figure out what the best way is to gain damage. So the sets I would choose from currently for Stamina Nightblade, those are all the sets that I like. Some of them very situational, but majority of them you can equip and do very well on. Balork, Velidrev, Selene, Stuns, New Moon Acolyte, Cyrodiil's Ward, Senchi's Bite, Essence Thief, Eternal Vigor, and let's go to the noCP sets now. Ashen Grip, Way of Fire, Poisonous Serpent, more cooldown. Oh, sorry, Clever Alchemist is also one of those sets that you can use both in CP and noCP. My favorite set by far. Twice Fanged Serpent, but you need a dot for it. Yanders is a great set. Daedric Trickery. Word Tree next patch is gonna be great if you want defense. Stuff like that. Oh, and Briarheart next patch is gonna be insane as well. The next thing I want to talk about is my bar setup. So say, those are the basic skills you want to run on a Stamina Nightblade. And I really don't understand people who do not run Shuffle on a rollerblade in open world. No, Shuffle will kill you. I don't know why it became such a common thing nowadays to not run a snare removal on a build that survives by kiting. I think that that's super logical to use, right? Right? If you don't use Shuffle on a rollerblade, you're nothing to me. I will one-shot you on any class. Shuffle is so important. You need to run it. Right. But besides that, about my bar setup. Now, first of all, Another thing, another thing besides not running shuffle, I don't run any fear. It's an outdated skill that doesn't work with Stamblade's kit anymore, due to delays in the damage. After fearing your enemy, you have no chance of following up with any relevant damage. Say your ultimate or relentless focus, that won't hit. So instead of running a fear, I run Camo Hunter in that place and stun my enemies with off balance, with surprise attack, and with my ultimate. And that's it, you can manage. And it's much better than running a fear. The only situation where I would run a fear is when I play with a duel partner and we can either sync up damage with a stun or he needs a defensive stun. Another skill I want to rant about is Poison Injection, because I don't think people caught up yet that it's a dogshit skill. Now, Poison Injection, the skill is useless, without the usage of Master's Bow, obviously. It does too little damage, costs too much, and exposes you too well to your enemy, making him aware that you're coming. If Zenimax buffs it again in the future, it might be decent again, but with how we currently build in the game, it's pointless. Because you need a back bar set, and a front bar set, and then a mythic, and then a monster set. That's how the best builds go. No Master's Bow fits in there, Poison Injection is useless. I want to talk about my flex spot now. You can, on your flex spot, by the way, my flex spot is Killer's Blade in this example. In the flex spot you can either put Reaper's Mark, your Execute, Bombard, or Barbed Trap. Let's talk first about Reaper's Mark. Reaper's Mark is a potato smashing tool. You apply it to pugs in open world, nuke them, get an insane heal for either an escape or follow up on another trash can. That's it. The next skill is my Execute. You equip Execute because it's the most reliable option you can ever run anywhere. In open world, duels, and battlegrounds. It secures skills from situations where someone will try to heal your target from low health. In duels, it helps killing tanks and shield spamming sorks. And in battlegrounds, it's a great kill stealer. You can run two sorts of Executes. First is Killer's Blade. Killer's Blade does less damage and requires you to be a lot more precise with your executing. Pros of running it is 2% more crit chance, mind the file, for when the enemy doesn't die, and a slight heal about 2 or 3k after a kill. It makes escaping much easier, it's basically like 2 vigor ticks. And your second Execute is Executioner. It does more damage, it's more reliable, and you can start spamming it earlier. Pros of it is just reliability. Another skill that nobody ever runs on Stamblade, but I love it personally, is Barbed Trap. Barbed Trap is an insane skill open world and an IC. I got so many good fights prioritizing on it. What you do is put trap in a tight spot where your enemies might run through, cloak in, and wait for somebody to get inside as you charge a heavy attack into incap. It obliterates people. On top of that, it's a decent defensive dueling tool for when you want to give up fight control to the enemy. You simply put it down and wait for the enemy to engage on you. That works well against enemies who spam gap closers like Templars. They just don't spam trap too much. It will run you out of resources. The next skill is Bombard. And Bombard is a pure open world skill. What you do with it is turn around and snare all your enemies chasing you. It makes surviving easier, but it offers absolutely nothing outside of that. I guess it's a tool just to immobilize trash cans who don't really know how to roll dodge, you know? That's about it. Now, another thing that I do a lot is replace my shade with the skill called channeled acceleration, and I only do that in battlegrounds when I know I have a team that I can team fight with. So basically when I have a team that I can rely on will heal me or back my ass up when I'm in a tight situation, I will run channeled acceleration because then I'm the killer in the team basically. I need to pick out the targets and make my team focus the targets. I need to obliterate people with my damage. And Shadow Image really doesn't work well in team fights. Also another thing, in duels, if you don't face much AoE damage, for example Nightblade v Nightblade matchups, you don't run Shuffle. You replace Shuffle with one of your flex spot abilities, so either Execute or Reaper's Mark or whatever you like.